G'day and welcome back to the Aussie Sports Show. Today we are continuing our cricket coverage of the T20 World Cup for 2021 as we dive into the first week of completed matches with the official tournament starting on Saturday evening. Obviously, Australia's played one and have two to come in the upcoming week, Liam.
Yeah, so before we get into the rest of the games, we'll go through Australia's first game that occurred on Saturday night. And it was kind of one that not many people expected. A lot of people were expecting, a high-scoring match, South Africa to come out here to high score, and so were Australia. But Australia did an incredibly job at restricting the Proteas to 9 for 118 of their 20 overs, which was absolutely brilliant. And every Australian sitting at home was probably thinking, we have got this in the bag. It's going to be a very easy win first off. We're going to start the tournament off with a flyer. But South Africa had other plans. They did very well at keeping Australia at bay. Go through some of the stats. So Finch also made a duck, which came in the first over, I believe. So that wasn't very good. Warner only made the 14, as you all know. And Smith came in and made 35. Him and Maxwell kind of steadied the ship a bit. But again, when Smith departed to incredible catch by Markham in the outfield, the whole game just seemed to switch. Australia seemed to be under the pump, and South Africa seemed to be right on top. But we have a boy called Marcus Stoinis in our side, and he was the hero. He made 24 of 16 not out and pretty much saved us from defeat. So Australia got up by the 5 wickets and more importantly got the first win on the board. So that was very big for us to start off our campaign.
Yeah, so first of all, the first real big shock was one of the first games. In fact, it was the second game. It followed the Australian game on Saturday night. England absolutely dominated the West Indies. I was really looking forward to this match. I wouldn't really say informed teams as of recently, but two teams that have always battled it out in the T20s. And the Windies took 14 overs to only manage the 55 runs and get bowled out. And that was just a shock to the system. Nobody saw that coming. I probably had the Windies winning this match. Their top scorer was Chris Gale on 13 off 13. That is appalling. They're never going to expect to win a match off that. And obviously, England chased that down comfortably in the 9th over on 4 for 56. Another couple games, Pakistan chased India's 151 runs down without losing a single wicket, with about 2 overs or 3 overs to go off the top of my head. Afghanistan won by 130 runs. They were 4 for 190 to Scotland's 60 all out. That was a bit overboard. Didn't see that coming whatsoever. I think Scotland, obviously, they're not, the number one cricketing country in the world, but they do like their cricket at times. So would have been good to see them put up at least a little bit of a challenge, and 60 all out was not that. And just going back to the West Indies, they've had a very rough start, haven't they? They're 0-2. Obviously, their next games aren't going to get much easier. Can you even see them being a faint chance? I really don't think so. I think they're pretty much all but eliminated at this point.
Yeah, they have had a very rough start. Many people thought, they'd come in, completely dominate, obviously, the reigning champions. And they started 0-2. They also got bowled out for 55. And then, imagining the 140 against South Africa and, only taking the 2 wickets. There's been a very struggling start, but knowing the West Indies, I feel like they can bounce back a little bit. But I think they have to win every game from now on just to qualify through to the semi. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. We'll now move on to previewing Australia's next couple of games coming over the weekend. The first comes tonight against Sri Lanka. That starts at 1 a.m. For Victorians. So a late one. So if you're going to stay up, make sure you set an alarm. But Sri Lanka coming off a big win, I believe, against Bangladesh, chasing down 172 in the 19th over. So they're coming for a big win. And Australia, they need to find form. We know Sri Lanka, they're good in T20s, as I just said, against their game as Bangladesh. But they need to find consistency. Warner and Finch need to get clicking. They can't be relying on, your Maxwells, your Stoinuses, because, yeah, they're great players, but they're not always going to get you over the line. So I feel like Australia need to get a good opening stand between Warner and Finch. As we all know, they're not in the greatest of form. So maybe this game can hopefully get them back into form. And, it'd be good to see us go 2 from 2 and, nearly qualify for the semis. We just need to win one more after this, you'd think. But again, I feel like Sri Lanka, we can't take them easily. So yeah, it's going to be a cracking match. Unfortunately, it does start very late. So yeah, it's going to be a good one to watch. So make sure if you've got nothing on tomorrow, you're staying up watching at 1 a.m. So it'll be a very good match to watch.
And the second game of the upcoming week, which falls on Saturday night / Sunday morning, whatever you want to call it. Also, the 1 a.m. time slot, which is a bit of a pain because this game, we'll be up to watch it, but this game was probably the one I was looking forward to most, purely just because, the rivalry behind it that we've had for the last 200 years almost. And that is against the Poms of England. As I said, 1 a.m. start time, but this will be worth a watch, I reckon. If we're on our game, we can easily defeat pretty much anyone and will be very, very challenging to England if we're on our game, which, look, realistic chance hasn't happened for quite some time that the Aussies have been at their peak game. But I think we're a red hot chance if we can. Now, we'll move on to, I guess, what would you change after looking at last Saturday's performance against South Africa? What would you change in terms of our XI for the upcoming clash tonight?
It's kind of a hard one because there's one real obvious standout, and it's kind of David Warner, but he is one of the senior blokes on the side. He is very explosive when he's on, but he's just not doing much at the top of the order. Same with Mitch Marsh. I managed the 11 off 17 last week again. So I think in the tournament we should run Josh Inglis in there somewhere, whether he comes in at 3 or everyone moves up a rank. But I feel like he should come in, maybe not tonight, but maybe against some of the lower teams you play, after England, he should come in. And there's no one else you can really drop because people who are in bad form, you can't drop because you can't drop Finch, obviously, because he's the captain. Warner, he's a senior player, and Mitch Marsh is the only player I can kind of see that we can drop because everyone else pretty much had a good game against South Africa. All the bowlers bowled well, or your Stoinuses, your Wades, your Maxwell, your Smiths all had good games. So it's kind of down to Mitch Marsh, you'd think, is the only team change that we should make. But, if Warner continues to, make under 10, then, yeah, he might find his way out of the side. And I think I saw a stat today. In his last 5 innings ever, Warner, he's made just the 17 runs at an average of about 3.4. So if you're talking about a form slump, the biggest form slump you can see, David Warner is your guy to go to. So, again, I think Mitch Marsh is the only bloke you can really drop out of the 11 for pretty much the rest of the tournament, in my eyes.
Yeah, I think Warner is actually a hot chance to be given the boot, to be honest. But when you look at the team in terms of who's performing and who's not, there's a couple others such as Finch and Marsh. Now, Marsh, I don't think he got a chance at all with the ball the other night. I'll fact check that in a second. But look, he didn't get a chance with the ball. There you go. And I think I want to see him get a small chance with the ball before we say, look, you've had enough. We've had you around for quite some time. And when you're on, cool. But again, we need that consistency, especially in at 3. 3 is one of, if not the hardest positions to bat, because you've come straight in after the first wicket. The fielding team is hype, and you flunk to 11 off 17 in a T20. Is the goal in a T20 to not hit the ball? Because David Warner plays like a test match every single time. Obviously, sitting here, we can't do any better. Otherwise, we'd be there. That's obvious. But can you not hit the ball? It gets frustrating as fans to watch sometimes.
And just to see the amount of power Warner can hit it with, we've seen it all before. He's made 100 in a T20 against Sri Lanka a couple of years ago. He's made 80 off about 50. So we know what he can do. But again, as he said, he's not playing a test match idea. It's called a T20. You've got 120 balls. And you're out here, you're making 14 of 15, I believe it was. And Mitch Marsh making 11 of 17. Even Smith in that manner, he made 35 of the 34. And Maxi, 18 of 21. It's just the slow, strike rate we're going at is just not going to get us over the line tonight against Sri Lanka. Because if we post 140, Sri Lanka are going to chase that down in their sleep. We know that. So, and even against England, if we make 150, they're going to chase that down in their sleep. So we need to get, about to get the strike rate up. Let's get everyone cooking and make sure we get off to a hot start. Otherwise, it kind of just spreads out the whole team. Start poorly, the innings goes to absolute put. So, again, we need to pick up our strike rate and not be blocking out here like we have been in the first match, as you said.
Or even not even blocking. They just left the ball. Like, I can recall Finch was a duck off 5. That's a prime example.
And his first aggressive shot, I think, was where he got caught.
Exactly. But every time he just watched the ball go past his bat. It's not a test match. You don't have an hour to work your innings up. I'm happy with 3 balls to get used to the conditions, what the bowler's doing, and then it's out. If you're not swinging, you should be able to retire a player.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's guys like Stoinis, there's guys like Maxwell waiting to hit the ball, which is what they did. Obviously, Maxwell didn't have the best strike rate, but he tried. He was unlucky to pick out the fielder virtually every time, but he tried.
Yeah, at least he gave his part because I think we were not much of the first 8 or 9 overs, and he had to come in. He had to do something. He had to come and pick up the strike rate. And yeah, as you said, he tried, but again, South Africa, their field placements were just also superb. We hit it to the fielder every time, and we were frustrated sitting at home because we were still hitting it hard to the field. And I was just watching back, and I think they had mid on, mid off back, and I was just like, if you punch it, to mid on, you're gonna get 2 if you run hard enough. But again, they're flat out hitting it, and I was just getting confused here. But they can do the thing. We're only chasing 120, but I feel like if we needed something more than that, they had to have to go to that tactic. But as you said, you don't have an hour. You have 3 balls to get your eye in, and then you have to go for 1 swing. So, definitely change the tactics come tonight against Sri Lanka.
All right, I think that just about wraps it up for, I guess, our cricket potty for the week. Stay tuned for next week as we have 2, potentially 3. I'm not sure when the next game after the England one is, but at least 2 games to dissect, as well as at least preview the next one, as well as take you through any crazy stats or game facts from throughout the week. So stay tuned for next Wednesday or Thursday. Stay tuned for tomorrow's AFL video as well. Got a bit of a special one coming out. Otherwise, we will see you next time.
See you later.